Wait, can you hear it? Oh no, that's not it. I am waiting for the alert sound on my email to tell me that I got a response from a resume that I sent in. I've been sending in like 50 resumes a week, and I'm still waiting for that alert sound in my email. Is that you? Are you wondering if it's getting lost in la la land of email? Are you wondering why they're not responding to you? Did you ever think that maybe it's not them and that maybe it's your resume? Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Fane Brandt with the LinkedIn Bakery, Chief Inspiration Officer, where we serve up bite-sized tips to help you stay focused and on track. I'm really excited for today's episode. This is episode number 4 in my 4-part job seeker series, and I'm excited to bring Kyle Elliott on in just a few minutes. But before we get started, I need to tell you a couple of things. One, I'd love for you to share this episode out with everyone. And the reason I'm asking for you guys to do that is because we've all been affected. And I know that many of you in my network, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, many of you guys are entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I realize that, but we're all being affected by COVID-19. Today is my girlfriend's last day at her job. She's a contractor and she got the notice, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. And then seriously, an hour ago, I got a group text that another one of our friends just found out her last day of employment is June 1st. So I'm talking about people who are laid off, they're underemployed, they're furloughed, or their company might be going out of business. So my friend's, this department that she works on is being closed permanently. I put together this series where we're talking to experts on how to land your job in 2020 because I wanted to help inspire and give hope to the job seekers out there. We have never seen anything like this in our lifetime. But the good news is companies are still hiring and they're looking ahead, and we'll be talking about that shortly. We've covered things like personal branding, what recruiters are looking for and what they don't need, and resumes. And today, Kyle's going to be talking about how to identify your special sauce. What makes you fabulous? Yes, you are fabulous, and you need to sing that from the top of the roof. We're also going to be talking about how to stand out in a saturated job market because, let's be honest, a lot of people are unemployed and the competition is going to be tough. And then, of course, my favorite topic, we're going to be talking about LinkedIn and how to use it to improve your job search. I have to say that I love that each of my guests had emphasis on how to use LinkedIn and that you need to have LinkedIn as part of your job search strategy. So you guys, right there, hit that share button, blast this out to your networks because we all know someone who is in the middle of a job search and we want to help inspire them and give them hope. Let's bring our guest, Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me again on your show. I'm excited. Yes, I have my Starbucks too.
Yeah, I made mine at home, but cheers. Kyle and I love our Starbucks and coffee.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad they still have the mobile order where you can pick it up at the door or the drive-thru. It has been a lifesaver. As we were chatting about before, I usually do a lot of my resume writing at coffee shops, and I consider the people who work there my colleagues, since I have no colleagues since I work from home. And this shift has been interesting since now I'm
How
not
are
at the
you
coffee
doing?
shop.
Let's do a check-in because these are president times. We've never been through this. Nobody that is alive has been through a pandemic like this. And it all affects us differently. And yes, you work from home, but it's still affecting you. And I think that people don't realize that even employers that work remotely, whether it's for a large organization or your own business, we're still affected, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even though I work from home, it's disrupted my routine a lot. I'm used to spending 20 hours a week at the coffee shop. It's impacted that. A lot of the ways I used to practice self-care, going to Nordstrom, going to Lululemon, all of that, going out to eating ice cream, all of that I'm not able to do anymore. So the first few weeks for me were really rough. I was really transparent on sharing on LinkedIn how I ended up having a panic attack.
I love that you shared your personal fears and anxiety because, and we'll talk more about LinkedIn, but it is a platform to share what's going on to inspire others. right?
Thank you. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I really find that sharing my mental health challenges is really important because that's how we cure stigma, is by recognizing that yes, people have mental health conditions they live with, but the recovery is possible, that treatment works, that support is available. So the
I
first few
love
weeks were,
therapy.
yeah, me too. I go
I'm a
every
big
week.
fan of therapy. I've seen a therapist in the past for like 2 years. It was the best investment that I made in myself. Like literally changed my outlook on some dark times in my life.
It's amazing, and even during COVID right now, where so many of us are sheltering in place, it's still available, and I still have my therapy sessions just by phone,
I
and
love it.
my partner does it via video with his therapist. So there's still help available during this time. And the first few weeks were difficult, but now I am doing the best I've ever been doing in my life. And who would have thunk that a global pandemic would lead me to have better mental health? But it's just been amazing. I'm
Well,
finding new
high five.
routines. High five.
High fives.
It's been amazing. So I'm doing a lot better now. And I think it's key too that we check in at the beginning of meetings with people. We don't just dive in and ask how
Right.
people are truly, really doing and all of that. So I'm really thankful that I've been able to find new routines, that I have a support system, and that I'm taking
I'm
care of
thankful
myself.
that you have too, and that, you know, I think it took us all a few weeks to adjust. Some adjust easier, some of us don't, some of us are
Mhm.
still adjusting. I'm
Yeah.
adjusting, you know, my own personal thing is the chronic pain that I suffer from. So to make sure that I'm not just sitting in this chair and that I'm stretching and stuff. So everyone, you got to find your new routines
Mhm.
and ask other people what they're doing. You know, we don't have to figure this out all on our own,
No.
right?
No, and it's going to take time, and recognize that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay for this to take time. It's okay to ask for help and know that there's support out there, that there's treatment out there, that things get better.
Absolutely. I'm just checking to make sure we're live everywhere because you know how much I love technology when it
Yes,
works.
yes. And I already see a comment coming through from Amy. Hi, Amy.
Oh, yay. Let's see. Oh, yes. Hello, Amy. Amy's over on Facebook. We've got a couple people on LinkedIn watching as well. So, Kyle, let's dive in and let's talk. You know, you're super busy right now, right? So,
Yes, yes.
it's not a slow time for career coaches and resume writers.
No. And I think that's a myth out there, at least something that's being perpetuated, is that, okay, unemployment's at an all-time high. People aren't hiring, companies aren't hiring. That's just not true. I have a client on an interview today, a video interview. I have clients who have interviews next week. I've had 2 or 3 people get job offers this week. So companies are interviewing and companies are hiring. The key is to really find those companies that are hiring. There's a lot of lists circulating. You can just Google companies hiring during COVID-19 and find those companies that are hiring.
Ooh, we'll put that in the comments. You know what? Why don't we? I want to give you an opportunity to tell the audience how you got started in your story,
Yes,
because I
course.
love it. So go for it. Tell everyone how you got started and what you love about the work that you're doing.
Yes. So my story is unique in that I got started on Fiverr. So while a lot of career coaches or resume writers get started by saying, oh, I want to go into career counseling, get a master's, or I was in recruiting or executive search or talent acquisition, I started on Fiverr. So in college, I literally charged $5 for resume reviews, to write the about section or that LinkedIn summary. And I charged $5 a page to edit people's personal statements in college. In grad school, I raised my rates, but it was still a side hustle. And then even once I graduated college and had a full-time job, it was still a side hustle. And then about 3 years ago, I decided to make the leap and run my business full-time. And now for the last 3 years, I've been running it full-time. I've had over 1,000 clients, most of those people in Silicon Valley and high tech. And even the month before I made the leap to running my job full-time, or my business full-time, I renewed my contract at my job. And then I went back to my boss and said, oops, I'm not going to actually renew this. So I never intended to run this business full-time, but I just found a love for helping people find jobs they love. And to me, I'm not in love with writing resumes, but I'm in love with helping people change their lives and identify what's fabulous about themselves and get unstuck with the job search, because that's what's exciting.
That. Yeah. What's exciting is to see people get unstuck and discover what makes them fabulous, which increases their confidence, which leads to better interviews, right?
Exactly, because there's just so much competition out there. I know we're going to talk about that today. There's just 500 or 1,000 or 10,000 of people applying for the same role. So you have to figure out what sets you apart from them. And that's what I love doing, is figuring out what's unique and different about people and then giving them the confidence to own that and share that with the world.
Yes. I'm like, own it. You and your clients, they have to discover that. So let's dive into identifying your secret sauce and what makes you fabulous. So what does that look like when you're working with clients? Like, what are the questions that you ask them or the exercises? And how does someone who's like Mary, I don't know, let's say I'm a top accountant. I do good. I don't mess up numbers. That doesn't make them fabulous. So how do you take something that's boring or mundane or, what is the word I'm looking for? Like it's every day for them, but how do you take that and make that into something fabulous?
Yeah, so I have a process I like using that really focuses on a combination of what's internal to you and what's external. So I like starting with the internal and looking at what you did as a child. That's one of my favorite questions to ask, is what lit you up as a child? So for me, that was teaching. I asked my parents for a whiteboard. I would create worksheets for them. I was just visiting my parents this last weekend, and my partner and I were talking about how I created worksheets for them and they hated it. But I loved creating worksheets and creating lesson plans and educating them. It was hilarious. But now that's what I do. I help clients and educate and teach them on the job search process, on how to network, how to interview. And then the second piece I like doing is helping people then focus on the external. So once you have your internal down, okay, what lit me up as a child? I want you to figure out what makes you fabulous. And it's difficult for us to identify that. So I encourage people to text a handful of people, maybe 3 friends, colleagues, family members, and ask what makes you fabulous. So if you're watching this now, I encourage you to do that. Grab your phone and text 3 people, what makes me fabulous?
I'm going to do it myself.
I want you to do it too.
As an entrepreneur or business owner, I think this exercise is valuable for anybody.
Exactly.
Even if you're not looking for a job, just right?
And it's confidence builder. I did this like 2 weeks ago with a group of gay coaches. They're not looking for jobs. They're looking for clients, how to grow their business. And they loved this. And just that feedback was so amazing to figure out how other people see us.
I love that. I think I'm going to encourage all my friends to go and do that. We're going to make sure that that's one of the tips, that to text 3 people, right? So we'll say it again, text 3 people and ask them.
What makes me fabulous? And don't say you're watching this webinar. Okay. Don't give context, just one sentence. What makes me fabulous?
My friends are going to give me some funky answers.
There's some funny stuff. Like my partner was like, you're dancing, LOL. But then when I was a child, I danced in my backyard. I was not good at it, but I danced and it gave me a lot of joy. And then now, I'm not going to show you, but I dance around my apartment and it brings me joy.
Me too. Like I told my husband, I told him the other night, last Saturday night, we had a dance party. We had our wine, or we were drinking our rum, the sipping rum that we got. We turned YouTube on and we were dancing. So we were doing our country dance. And then we started doing like some ballroom dance. And so I said this week, I'm like, are we going to have a dance party Saturday night? Because it just brings me so much joy.
I love it. It's fun. So then you're going to start getting these texts. Again, everyone on this call, I'm hoping, or on this webinar, I'm hoping you texted a few people. And then you're going to start getting responses. So I want you to take what we did in step 1, figure out what you loved as a child, whether that was teaching, whether it was writing, whether it was playing vet with your stuffed animals. I did that too. I want you to then take what we did in step 2, those texts you received, and look at the intersection. So what are the commonalities between what you liked as a child and how people perceive you now? So we're blending the internal and the external. If there's a Venn diagram, this middle ground is your secret sauce. So for me, as I alluded to earlier, I love teaching and educating as a child. And then now, when I did this last week, when I texted people saying what makes me fabulous, it was my compassion, that I care, that I teach people, that I educate people, that I coach people. And there was this overlap. So that's my zone of genius. So really that's key, finding the overlap between what's internal and external. And that middle ground is really what makes you fabulous. That's your secret sauce.
I love that. And I love, you guys, maybe you did this before, but I love what Kyle's saying is do it again. And even if you don't think you need to do it, I want to ask everyone that's watching or watching the replay, Yeah, because we see you too.
Yes.
I want you to do this exercise, text 3 people and ask them what makes me fabulous. Don't give any context. And then you know what? I'd love for you all to go back in here and share it.
Yeah.
And let's just spread some joy. And let's see what makes us all fabulous, because we're all different. So we have different skill sets, different personalities, right? Different things that we're good at. So I'd love to see what makes you fabulous. This is great. I love it.
I use this in 1 or 2 workshops a month, and I always text new people, sometimes the same people, and the results I get always just light me up and make me so excited. And sometimes people see things in me I never recognize. They're like, oh, your ability to ask questions that I've never been asked before. And then I use that in my coaching now. So it's amazing when you think you're gifted at something and then other people see that externally. So that's why I love the combination of the internal and the external being what makes you fabulous.
Oh, I didn't even text yet and I got a response. Amy
oh my gosh.
Your ability to help people connect is one thing that makes you fabulous, Mary. Amy, I love you. And I know we're talking later today. So you're fabulous.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it. It's amazing. It just really lights you up. And especially with COVID right now, there's a lot of negativity and this can just really boost your spirits.
I think it's just a great exercise to do a few times a year. And
it's amazing.
I do a similar exercise with my clients, you know, but I like this. Mine's a little more in depth. I'm like, why not make it simpler? Like same results, basically. I'm like, go ask 10 people. Let's just go with 3. But this is great. So you guys, step number 1 is how to identify your special sauce. What makes you fabulous? And Kyle just told you what he does with his own clients. Such a simple technique, but yet so powerful. I want to encourage you all, Kyle and I want to encourage you all to go text 3 people and ask them what makes me fabulous. Don't give them any context. And then I want you to share your responses, you know, what you get back. Share in the comments here on whatever platform you're watching. I love it. That is such a simple but yet fabulous exercise. Now, how do we take that as a job seeker? And how do we transfer that into our resume or our LinkedIn? You know, how do we take that?
Yeah, and I love too that we're talking about how to stand out in a saturated job market because this blends in. So you can use the results sometimes on your resume, on your cover letter, on your LinkedIn. So let's say you texted a colleague and they said, oh my gosh, I love how compassionate, caring, loving you are. You can use that on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile. So something we talked about last time I was on your show was leveraging testimonials on your resume, on your cover letter, on your LinkedIn. It's a really powerful way to showcase what sets you apart from other people and then have social proof. Because you can say you are the most amazing accountant in the world, but then if 2 or 3 colleagues also say that and you plop a sentence or 2 on your resume, that just takes it to a whole new level. It's kind of if a restaurant says, oh my gosh, we serve the best pancakes. But then if I go on Yelp and all these other people say, oh no, these really are the best pancakes in all of San Francisco or all of San Diego, I'm like, oh, okay, they really are.
Yeah,
So
that you're true
be
because
social proof.
It's that know, like, trust factor, right? So
exactly.
Yes, you know, Sonic Burgers can say they have the best milkshakes. Well, I'd be going like, well, all kinds of people make milkshakes. But when my girlfriend or, you know, my coworker is like, oh my gosh, I had the best Sonic milkshake. I had the cookie Oreo one. You're like, oh, maybe they really do have the best milkshakes.
Yep.
I like it.
Exactly. So I just love that social proof and you're backing up any claims you make.
So Sam joined us. My coworker best friend said, my smile, laugh, and personality. Yay, people are sharing.
I love that.
Sam said, another friend said, my personality, calm demeanor, always positive out of anything someone says. So you would be able to handle stress in a job, right? So if you are always calm in your calm manner and always positive, that would be a really good trait or skill to have if you were managing teams, right? Or leading.
Exactly. And these can just be pulled into here. I've had clients use these directly on their cover letters, again, their resume, their LinkedIn. So don't be afraid to reach out to people and then leverage this on your document.
I love it. Thank you, Sam, for being the first one to put that in.
I appreciate you sharing it. That's
amazing. High fives out to Sam. Good job.
I love that.
Okay. So how to stand out in the saturated job market. Do we have another tip besides,
Yes.
okay. Because I know you're full of tips.
Yes.
We've only got 30 minutes, but you and I could probably sit and talk about this for 2 hours easily, as long as we didn't run out of coffee.
Yes. I know, and mine's like halfway gone. So I have two other key tips. One is to use the job posting as your guide. So I find a lot of my clients, what they do is they just write their resume, they write their LinkedIn profile, and then they go and try and apply for jobs. And I want you to work backwards. I want you to find the jobs you're targeting and then go through it and check off each item. I hate wasting paper, but go through, print off the job posting, and as you include those items on your resume, check it off. And you may even save yourself time if you just throw away your old resume and start from scratch using that job posting. And they say, we're looking for 10 years of experience. Okay, go through and make sure you have 10 years of experience. We're looking for someone with budget management experience. Go make sure you have that on there. We're looking for someone who knows SPSS. Go put that on your resume. So really work backwards from the job posting, and don't be afraid to even take language directly from the job posting, put it on your resume, and then massage it.
It'll get through the ATS, the applicant tracking system. I love this strategy. The very last thing that we do in my career coaching program is the resume. The very last thing, because we've got to do your profile. What jobs are you interested in? What companies are you interested in? You've got to, develop your secret sauce or your special sauce. Secret sauce is McDonald's. That's right. You've got to, create your special sauce. You've got to do all the work first. Yeah. So the resume piece, now I'm not a resume writer. I have a fabulous resume writer on my team here in San Diego. And I pass my clients over like, we're done with all the work. We are targeted. We know what we're going to, what my client, they know exactly what positions, what organization, down to the top 5 organizations. Yeah. And then they go to the resume writer, and the resume is created to stand out for that industry, for those specific jobs. So I love that you said work backwards. I love that you do it
last too. That's so smart to do that last. Because again, I do something similar. I ask people, before I even touch your resume, I want 5 jobs you're targeting. I want to know the companies, the positions. I want to be tailored, and I want to have you be niche, because people want someone who's an expert on what they do. They don't want someone that says, oh, I'll just take anything. That's like dating. Oh, I'll date anyone. I don't care about your values, your interests.
That's called the jack of all trades. And I'm going to age myself, but decades ago, you wanted to be a jack of all trades, because that's what people wanted to hire. One person that could do 10 different jobs. But I love that you said in today's job market, niche, however you pronounce it, hone in on what you do wonderfully, where you're fabulous. And when you're an accountant, you're not just an accountant. What niche of accounting? Yeah. What type of business do you resonate with? The further that you can niche it, the easier that job search is going to come out.
Yeah. And I actually learned, I like the phrase, the riches are in the niches. I learned that from one of your previous guests. From Sizzle Force. The riches are in the niches. And I love that. So that's why I encourage my clients, let's niche, more.
Yeah.
The other tip for just standing out in the job market is to network. So once you've identified those companies and positions, reach out to people. If you want to be an accountant at, let's say, Facebook, reach out to accountants at Facebook and say, hey, I see you're an accountant at Facebook. I'm an accountant at Glassdoor. I'd love to share best practices and learn what it's like at Facebook, how you got there, and compare.
You guys, that is golden. He just said the exact words that you need to use, because the number one question is, well, how do I network online with someone? I want to share best practices. Right there. That's the golden sentence that will get me, because you're not asking for anything. You're like collaborating. So that is a golden sentence, whatever industry that you're trying to get your, whatever company or industry you're trying to get into. I want to learn about best practices in compliance management. I want to share what best practices there are in inventory management. Just really, that is ideal. And right now, since we're talking about networking, people are always afraid to reach out to people they don't know. But now it's like game on. This is a perfect time, because more people are networking online, and it's kind of like carte blanche. There's no, people aren't going to say, well, why is Kyle reaching out to me? I don't know him. It's kind of like, oh, cool. Who's this Kyle guy? Oh, yeah, I'll talk to him about best practices. Why not?
And same if you're an entrepreneur or business owner on this call too. If you see someone else doing similar work, hey, I see you're a coach in San Diego. I'm a coach in SF. Let's share best practices and see what's similar and different. You and I actually had a networking call and talked about that.
Yeah,
so it works and people respond. It's amazing the number of people who are willing to respond because you have something to offer and they have something to offer. So there's mutual value you can add to each other.
So I'm going to share my networking tip because I stalked Kyle for a while. And when I say stalked, he was on LinkedIn. I'm like, who's this guy putting out this great content? So I followed you first on LinkedIn because I didn't want to just like, hey, Kyle, connect with me, right? That's too generic. So I followed you. I followed your page and then I started commenting on your posts. And then like probably 3-4 weeks into it, then I sent you that connection request. Like, hey, I've been loving your posts. I totally, that thing that you did about the resumes or, sharing your personal story. And so I sent a personal invitation on LinkedIn. And of course you accepted it because I'm fabulous. And, and, but we work in the same industry, but that doesn't mean that we can't support each other, collaborate and help each other.
Exactly. No, I love that. And I just love the best practices approach because then you're adding things to each other. Often people just say, here's my resume. What openings do you have? And then it's not an equal playing field. But if you're someone coming with any level of experience or education or anything, you have something to offer. So don't feel like, oh, what do I have to offer? They're just giving. No, you're sharing information with each other. And especially with COVID right now, people are lonely and feel isolated. People just want connection and conversation.
And they want to network. So you know what? Find 4 or 5 people, set up a Zoom room, right? I love, I'm loving Zoom for that. Now, I am overloaded on other Zoom meetings, but set up virtual co-working. My friend Amy, if you're still watching, wait, is she still watching? She set up virtual Rockstar co-working. Like and so she has it every day. Now she's changing it right now because every day is a lot, but she did it to provide a spot for people to go. So Kyle, there's no reason like entrepreneurs, right, can't do a virtual co-working or even job seekers. Maybe find other people that are looking for jobs, come together. And this is a great networking. Come together and say, hey, I'm looking for other people that are out of work, looking for jobs. I'm thinking about, and it could be weekly. I'm thinking about doing a weekly Zoom meeting so we can talk about what we're finding. Maybe, I'm an engineer, but I saw a job for an HR specialist. That's not, networking, passing it around.
I love that. That's smart. I really like the idea too of coming together and then spending time because without COVID, we would do that. We'd go to the coffee shop and do things together or work together or go to, I don't know, Upwork or something like that. So I love that.
Yeah.
We're not Upwork, we work. But so now you're doing that virtually. So I love that.
Yeah, Amy's great at that. I've been to a couple of her sessions and I always get something out of it. We block off time where for an hour, like we just work. We have intros. What are we going to work on? And then we have at the end, like, so did you get that done? And I'm like, yeah, I got my email written or, it's dedicated time. So as job seekers, you guys can do the same thing. And maybe you do a weekly 2-hour Zoom job seeking session where you guys work on your LinkedIn profiles, or you work on identifying what organizations you do want to work for. So job seekers, I want to see those put out and I want to see that on LinkedIn and I want you to tag me and Kyle because we want to see that you're putting these tips into action. So that kind of like segues into our favorite topic ever. Would be the best platform ever, which is LinkedIn. Best platform for me, for job seekers, obviously, and entrepreneurs and business owners. And I know that we could seriously talk for like an hour on LinkedIn, but what are your top 3 tips for job seekers specifically on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so I would say 1, just find people in your target role. That is key. Find people who are in your target role because they already landed that job. So they can walk you through the application process, the interview process, and what the culture of that company is like. If there's nothing else you do on LinkedIn, find people in your target role and invite them to those informational interviews. The second tip would be conduct those informational interviews. Reach out to people, hop on the phone or my favorite, Zoom, have a quick conversation with people and just learn about that company. And then lastly, follow up. So I find a lot of the job seekers I work with have these amazing conversations and then don't close the loop. So make sure to follow up with a thank you email, send a snail mail thank you card. I'm a huge fan of that. Maybe a gift card for $5 or $10 to Starbucks because you're not able to take them to Starbucks right now. And then make sure to then follow up with a clear call to action. What are you looking for if it's appropriate? Do you want an introduction to the hiring manager? Do you want tips on your application? You can ask about their internal referral process.
I like that.
Figure out what happens from there.
Tips on the application or in the internal referral process. So that's really huge. And that's where your network comes in, because people, it's that know, like, trust factor. Oh, hey, you know what? I want, Kyle, he's amazing. Just so amazing. He's the best accountant I've ever worked with. And you know what? He's going to be sending in his resume. That's a flag for the HR manager, the hiring manager, the talent development, whatever they're calling themselves these days. And they're going to, I've got to find Kyle Elliott's resume because he comes referred by Mary Fane Brandt.
Yeah, and sometimes what will happen is they may say, let me introduce you to the hiring manager, and then the hiring manager will contact the recruiter and say, make sure this resume makes it to me. So it's so exciting once that happens, based on simply maybe stepping a little bit outside your comfort zone and reaching out to a few people on LinkedIn. And then they are often just as excited. They'll say, like I said, you work at Facebook, I work at Groupon. Oh my God, let's connect. This is amazing. We can learn from each other.
I love it. What are some of the mistakes that you see on LinkedIn for job seekers? Because you work with people come to you with their resume. I know that you go over and look at their LinkedIn profile and you're like, oh, Mary, I'm happy to redo your resume, but we got to do some work, girl, on that profile. You need a whole makeover.
So what I see a lot with LinkedIn is the number one mistake, people put their LinkedIn up and then just leave it and don't do anything. So I don't see LinkedIn as a resume. I see it as really a networking tool. And then the second thing is they have their resume on the LinkedIn and it's the same thing. So I love that you love cupcakes because I love it as an analogy. I think of LinkedIn as the sprinkles and frosting. It's sweet, it grabs their attention, and it's like, ooh, but it's not as dense. It's more high level. And then once they like the sprinkles and frosting and their attention is grabbed, you get to the cupcake, the actual cake part, which is the resume and is more satiating and then fills them up. So you only want your LinkedIn to be more high level, grab their attention, and then say, ooh, I want your resume. And you say, okay, here's my cake part. Here's my resume, which is going to fill you up and be more detailed.
Yes. It's it's to get their attention. It's to showcase your top accomplishments, not your 20-year work history. Well, you should have that in the experience section. I think one of the mistakes is people don't fill everything out on LinkedIn. Like volunteer. I've been contacted just because of what I do as volunteer work. And I've had other job seekers, clients that are like, hey, someone contacted me because I used to volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club and they did. And now they're working at this company where there's an accounting opening. So don't overlook the small fields on LinkedIn, it's free real estate. I always say it's free real estate. Use it all.
Yeah. And just really recognize it's an opportunity to grab their attention. It's like a commercial. It's 30 seconds. They read it real quick and then they can see the whole movie, which is your resume and that in-person interview.
Right. I love that. So many great tips, Kyle. Thank you for coming on the show. And one day we're going to meet in person at a coffee shop. We're going to hug, we're going to drink coffee and eat cupcakes. And we're going to, what, we'll go live while we do it because we know that you all want to see that. One day it's going to happen. So tell everybody how they can find you, your website, your LinkedIn. Where do you want people to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me is my website, caffeinatedkyle.com, or LinkedIn, Kyle Elliott. I spend a lot of time on there. So either way, caffeinatedkyle.com or LinkedIn, Kyle Elliott are great ways to contact me.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to put something up. I have a special offer for my job seekers. So let's get that up. Give me just a moment because I really want to help you guys. So how to stand out on LinkedIn so employers can find you. It's the job seeker's guide to finding your job, even right now during COVID-19. And you guys, this course isn't just LinkedIn, how to revamp your LinkedIn. It's career exercises. It's the 80-20 rule. It's getting a resume optimization on how to get through that ATS. It's doing the deep work, but it's a go at your own pace. So you could finish this in a week or 3 weeks or a month. And normally it's $697. And because I want to help as many people right now, we've dropped the price to $97. Ridiculously cheap, I know, but still packed full of value. So the link is right there, maryfanebrandt.com job seeker. You can just go to my website and find it as well. And I will drop the link in the comments here, but I just want to offer that out to you guys because I really do want to help everybody that I possibly can. and I'm one person. And working with me, I can't help the masses, but I can help you through the course. So, and there's also like a Facebook group to support you. So you get access to me for $97, which is ridiculous. And it's only for the month of May. So I hope that you'll sign up, or it's a great gift for a graduate who's someone who's just graduated college. You know what? It's the perfect price point, $97. Give them a gift that keeps on giving and gives them a new career. So, Kyle, thank you again. I just so enjoy having you on the show, and I can't wait to give you a hug and share a cupcake with you and a nice iced latte or cold brew coffee.
Yes, I'm so excited for that. And thank you so much for having me back. This was a blast.
I'm sure you'll be back. I'm sure we'll do this again.
Yes.
It's so much fun. And we've got a lot of comments going on. We've got Kristen said, thank you.
Yes.
Grant was watching. Renee was watching. Ashley is watching. Ashley, how are you doing? She's my photographer for my headshots, which are due to be redone. So thank you, everyone, for joining in. We had Betsy over on LinkedIn. She's another career coach here in the North County area and a fabulous woman. I should do an introduction. So you guys, we've got to go. I hope that you enjoyed this show. And I'm coming back over here. Kyle, take care, and I'll see you online. I'll see you on LinkedIn. Ciao.
Yeah. Bye.